Welcome back to the 1090 podcast. I'm here with Catie Hockenbury.
Yep.
One of the cooler names we've had on, Hockenbury. That's a good one. What is that like?
I think it's German. It like came from like Hackenberg, but then when they like migrated over, it, like, yeah, they changed it.
And you're from Kentucky, but you basically been in St. George, Utah since you were 2 years old.
Yeah, so I was born in Utah. Both sides of my family are both from Kentucky.
Okay.
Different parts, and then they both joined the Mormon Church. And my dad was born in Chicago, lived in Utah, went on a mission to California, got sick, came home, and wasn't going to go back out. Went out, met my mom. So both sides of my family are from Kentucky, but like they didn't meet that way. They met because he went on a mission. So
wow, there you go.
Yeah,
I too served the Lord on a mission.
Yeah, where'd you go?
Alabama.
Oh,
Roll Tide.
Yeah, that's where my uncle lives right now.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What part?
I'm not sure. I haven't talked to him in a while, but yeah, he's been in Alabama. So
I love Alabama. I could go back there right into the ribs.
Yeah.
Some banana pudding.
Yeah. I love the weather. Well, it gets real cold, but like the the mountains are different in that part of the country where like in Kentucky, they're not like big like they are
like
here.
Hills.
They're hills. Yeah, they're like, oh, the mountains, and I'm like, those are hills. But what are you talking about? The one behind my house is bigger than that.
You like St. George though?
I do. I love the weather here because it's like this summer we have like 2 or 3 months where it's like miserable, right?
Yeah.
The rest of the year, like I'm tanning. It's February. Like
I know. I was in a shirt and shorts last night.
Yeah, I wore a sundress yesterday. I was like, it's been so nice.
If I was a girl, I'd be rocking sundresses a lot.
Oh, it's amazing. Yeah.
Sundresses and the overall pants.
Yeah.
Sign me up for those.
Yeah.
Yoga pants. Okay, anyway.
In another lifetime.
We usually start really sad with the obituaries, but your situation did you lose both kids to you lost one kid to a stillbirth.
Mm-hmm. And then the other one was SUID, which is sudden unexplained infant death in its sleep.
So, and is that different than sudden infant death syndrome? Are they similar?
They're similar. So like he was 9 months old to the day. SUID's kind of an umbrella term where it can be like they don't really have a reason why it happened, but it can also be like asphyxiation, or like if they get trapped between a mattress and the wall or stuff like that. Like that's kind of
overdose on something.
Yeah. So like I think it's more honestly, like looking into it, it's more of like they'd put that on there so the parents don't blame themselves, for.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like the coroner, like when I talked to him about it, he was like, there was no injury to him before. There's no struggle, but I don't know. But that's what his came back as. And sometimes the report will come back and say sudden unexplained infant death, asphyxiation, or whatever. Oliver's just said sudden unexplained infant death.
I'm really sorry. That is brutal. Do you want to start with the loss of that child with that? Or
we could go in chronological order.
Let's do that. Let's just start however you want.
Yeah. I can give you some backstory on like my relationship with Connor too, like kind of how that played out. And Connor and I met in like 9th grade, but I thought he was a douchebag. I did not like him. He was funny, like, and he looks just like Carter does, but he was really funny, but he was just like, I'm like he's a douchebag. And
Carter's with us in the studio, by the way.
Yeah, Carter's here.
So nice to have you with us,
yeah. He's hearing all about his dad today.
Rough start.
Yeah, rough start. But we had 2 classes together because we did A and B days, and it was sophomore year. He went from being like, he was like super goofy where he had like these big, thick glasses to like going into sophomore year, he had like cut his hair, got his ears pierced, and I was like, okay, even more of a douchebag, right? But we had physics together in the morning, and then we had math together, so like first and last classes. And I remember we had physics where he had a partner that would never show up, so he would always be with me and my partner. And one time I didn't have a partner next to his name on there, and he was like, he's like, you're making me look like a loser. And like, we would just talk, and we kind of just went from there where we connected really fast, really well. I didn't think I would, like I was like, this guy is no way. But we started dating in November 11th of 2010. I think I was a sophomore, I believe. And we dated for a year before I got pregnant with Carter. So I was a junior. We dated for a year before I got pregnant with Carter. And it was kind of like the same month we found out I was pregnant with Carter was the last semester of senior year. His parents had gone through a really bad time and they were getting divorced. And so it kind of was like everything came crashing down. And he went from being like, we were super funny, goofy, like kids, to being, he just downhill fast. Like his mental health just declined. And we were together, like we lived together. My parents wouldn't let me move out, even though I was pregnant. They wouldn't let me move out until I was 18. And I turned 18 in June, moved out in July, and gave birth to Carter. He was healthy, and Connor had a hard time. Like, he didn't know how to take care of Carter, and he didn't know how to.
Well, how old are you guys?
We were barely 18 at the time.
I had a question. I didn't want to cut you off, but being pregnant in Utah before you're married that's got to be an experience. Do you want to talk about that at all?
Yeah. So they wouldn't even so me and Connor had ditched a lot, and I had missed a lot because I was pregnant and sick. And we ended up meeting with the vice principal, and they made a plan for Connor to graduate, and they like let him go and like work wrestling matches. But the vice principal told me he didn't want a pregnant girl walking and wouldn't let me graduate with them. I ended up there's an adult high school over here.
Wait, hold on. How did that make you feel?
It was really, really crappy. Because like
you're so much shame if you like.
Yeah. Well, everyone was doing it too. I mean, of course there was kids that weren't, but a lot of kids were doing it too. They just didn't get pregnant, Right. Like, yeah. So I ended up going to the adult high school and did 2 weeks and graduated. So, but it was graduation day was really hard because I was big and pregnant. I was due with him in September, so it was May when graduation was. And I had gone to school with these kids since I was in kindergarten. A lot of them were the same kids that I went to kindergarten with, and they're graduating, and I don't get to because he wouldn't work with me. But they let Connor. So I went and, we went to graduation and saw him walk, but a couple months after Carter was born, we had moved into a place over by Walmart. It's like a nicer, newer townhome, and he was getting ready to lose his job because the factory was shutting down, and he wanted me to go. I was doing CNA at the time. He wanted me to go work, and he was going to stay home with Carter, but I didn't trust him alone with Carter, and it was just because he didn't know how to take care of him the way that, I did. And there's also just like his mental health got to the point where it was scary, where I thought for sure that he was going to hurt me or Carter or all three of us. And it was a hard decision, but I ended up leaving and moving back in with my parents, which wasn't ideal. It's not what I wanted to do, but it was a safety matter at that point. And it was like I tried everything to help him, and I couldn't anymore. Like I had to choose my son over him, and I loved him, and I'll always love, like I won't love anyone the way that I love Connor ever, but I couldn't help him anymore. There was nothing that I could do for him anymore. And it just got worse from there, where he started dating this girl that she's done all my tattoos. Actually, we're really close, but
oh wow, really?
Yeah.
That's kind of is that not a little strange?
We were sitting there like kind of like trauma dumping about this stuff, and there's other people in the shop, and we turn around, they're just like looking at us, and we're like, oh, we love the same guy, it's fine, you had to be there. But yeah, she put ashes.
Just giving you a Connor tattoo.
Yeah, yeah, I know. I do want to. He's got the Metallica, is it the Lady Justice one?
Yeah.
He's got that. He had that tattooed.
Balancing the, yeah.
He had that tattooed right here, and his dad got it, and I want to get it eventually.
That would be a great one. Mm-hmm. Justice for all.
Yep. He was a huge Metallica fan. So I know every song, all the background, the back, what is it? Like the stuff that, I'm trying to think of the word, but like
the background.
I don't know why background was so hard for me, but.
No, it happens sometimes.
He knew
I knew I liked Connor. Like, yeah, he's a Metallica fan.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh, he was such a, he was such a good person. It was just like his mental health declined, and it declined fast. It was like within months he was unrecognizable. And as much as his parents tried to help, as much as my parents tried to help, as much as I tried to help, it was like, it just kept getting worse. And him and his mom moved into a place up the street from me, and they'd see Carter. His mom mostly would come and get Carter, and Connor was dating this new girl, and Connor had a lot of feel, like he felt, you know what I mean? Like he was like ruled by emotion a lot, where he just felt real deeply about everything. And I remember it was a month before he passed away, he came over to my house, and I was already pregnant with Sophia, which I'll get to in a minute, but he comes over to my house and he's like, how did you do it? And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, when I was like cheating on you, like, how did you get through it? And I was like, I just, I realized that, if someone cares about you and really loves you, they're not going to do that to you. They don't, someone who loves you is not going to do that to you. And he was like, I'm just so sorry that I did that to you. And I was like, thanks, like I didn't know he was going to pass away or anything, but my dad worked with troubled teens all the way through my life. And he started coming over and like giving away stuff to my brothers and things like that. And my dad's like, hey, like, this is not a good sign that he's doing all of this. And he's like, he's not doing well. And we all knew, but you can't, if someone is drowning and you keep handing them a life preserver and they keep pushing it away, there's nothing that you can do for, you can't make them save themselves. And
no, that's why it's so hard, because I talk with people about suicide all the time, and just like, and mental health. And it's just like, it is so hard to actually help them. Mm-hmm. And that's why it's so difficult to talk about, even, because it's so hard to fix, even if we do talk about it. So why talk about it?
Yeah.
Might as well just hide it.
When you can't, there's a lot of, with suicide, it's like, what people don't realize, like, I know in Connor's mind, he thought that was the best thing for everyone. But all he did was take his own pain and hand it to everyone else. Because we all sit here like, well, if I would have just done this, or if I would have just done that, if I would have, if I would have seen this or that, then things would be different. But you can't save people if they're not willing to.
I know. And it's like I just spoke at a high school about this.
Yeah.
And so, like, you tell them to ask for help. Mm-hmm. Which I think is good to say, but it's just like, it's so much harder to actually do that than what we, like, for these people, like Connor, they don't understand the ripple effect of, if I leave, like you said it, they truly think if I remove myself, everyone's life
better. They'll be sad
better
for a little bit, but
right. I think that's the root of the illness. Like, that's the thought they get. It's like, oh, I need to leave. That's how I'm the hero. Is I just need to get myself out.
Yeah.
And so and I think asking for help is hard, because you're just going to be weak. You're just going to be weakness, and then you're going to get all this attention, and you'd rather just not go through that.
Yeah.
And And it just keeps happening. It's more and more common. It's more common with younger kids now. And I feel like before I had any loss in my life, it just felt like the suicide number was so low. Like, it just doesn't really happen that much to really worry about it. Like, it will. But, what are you going to do? And now, like, you just realize how high that number is.
Yeah. Yeah. It's almost like you can't meet someone who hasn't been affected by someone that's committed suicide. Like everyone knows someone or is affected by it. Like I've never met someone that hasn't nowadays, and it's sad. It's a sad reality. But I also think that we have more ways to connect than we ever have in the history of the world, but we're the most disconnected we've ever been.
Yeah.
There's more disconnect, or there's just a lot of masking too, where everyone's just putting their best face forward, where they're, all the good things, and no one's willing to talk about the things underneath that are shitty.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of shitty things in life, but you're not alone. Other people experience them too. But it's hard because even like when I talk about things, sometimes, most of the time, the feedback is good, but there's people that are just genuinely rude. And I know that it's a reflection of them and not me, but still, like, if I wasn't a strong person and knowing that those things that people say would hurt, I could see, someone that doesn't have the tools that I have taking those things personally and feeling the negative emotions that become behind people saying things like that.
An example might be, that's what he wanted. He did it himself, or he's in a better place. Or,
that one's always the worst, especially with my kids, where they're like, "Oh, God needed him more," and I'm like, "But he's got Jesus, and he's got Gandhi and Mother Teresa. He's got plenty of good souls up there."
Yeah, grief's weird when people try to make it not sad.
Yeah,
it just doesn't. Like, wait, it's not sad.
Yeah, it shouldn't be sad forever.
Oh, my kids died.
Time heals all wounds.
It's not sad.
Yeah.
But I feel sad. So now I think there's something wrong with me.
Yeah.
But there's not, actually.
No.
It's totally normal to be sad.
Like I had said earlier to you, that there's 2 guarantees only for everything that is living, and that is birth and that is death. And it's like people want to put their head in the sand and act like death isn't, imminent for everyone. Yeah. We all have a clock above our heads, and it's ticking down second by second by second. And no one knows how many minutes, seconds we have left.
I mean, I literally am getting the 3 fates tattooed on my back because of this idea. Like, we have no idea when that string is cut and our time is up.
I think too, it's like when you've had major loss, like we have, it's a weird, but you appreciate life more, because it's like you understand that in a moment it can be gone.
Yeah.
Everyone that you have in your life, it's not guaranteed. It's like my boyfriend, I'll tell him, and like, even if I am sleeping when you are leaving to work, I want you to, come tell me I love you and bye. And he said, well, you're comfy, you're sleepy. And I'm like, yes, but if one of us passed away suddenly today, the last interaction that we would have with one another is a moment of love.
Yeah.
And we'd be able to, take that. And, he's experienced loss, like his grandparents and stuff, but nothing like this. So I think sometimes as a man, he's told me, I want to fix things and I can't fix this. And it's hard.
Yeah. I think that's another reason why we don't ask for help either, is we know it's not fixable. So what are we doing asking for help? But I've been thinking about this a lot lately, because I've been doing some grief guide stuff, trying to help people. And I just keep hitting a wall, because loneliness is just the root of grief for many people. Mm-hmm. Like, it just comes, like, they feel alone. Mm-hmm. And it's disguised by other emotions, but really, like, and I used to think loneliness was literally people who are alone, like, lived alone. Mm-hmm. I'm learning people are lonely with wife, kids.
Yeah.
They actually, like, they're not alone, but they're alone.
Yeah. So, and that, I mean, same thing where I used to think that it was like, the image of it is someone that's alone, a hermit.
Yeah,
they don't talk to
right.
anyone.
That's what I thought.
You can be lonely in a room full of people that love you.
All the lonely people I'm talking to right now have friends and family.
Yeah.
It's scary that way.
Yeah, it is.
And so this has really been difficult for me. Because it's one thing if someone says I'm alone, what do I do? Well, ask for help. Find your local support group, which is totally what you should do. Like, I'm not making fun of those things, but when you're looking at someone in the eye and they're crying that their brother's dead or their husband's dead and they feel alone, I'm just supposed to look at them through a computer screen and say, well, find your local support. Like, it's such a heavy moment, man. And it's frustrating for me that so many people are alone, I think is what I'm trying to say. Is how that's so frustrating me. And you said it, like, it should be the opposite. Like, we've never lived in a time where it should be easier to connect.
Yeah.
And it's the total opposite. We have so many people feeling alone. I feel alone a lot of the time.
Yeah, same, yeah. And I think, too, like, asking for help is hard because of, like, the society that we live in. You're supposed to hide all of the things that aren't picture perfect. You don't talk about those things. And I think
they wouldn't let you walk in your own high school because you were pregnant.
I know, because I was pregnant. Yeah.
What?
I was 17, turning 18 too. So, like, I don't know. I had busted my ass too to graduate. I only had to do 2 weeks at the adult high school, but still.
And I feel like, I'm not trying, I'm just guessing here, but you kind of said it like they let Connor walk, leaning into the whole, what's it called? Like, when it's cool for guys, but not for women, what's that? The double standard. It kind of leads into that. Like, wait a minute.
Well, and we met with the vice principal at the same time, both of us, because we ditched a lot, which we shouldn't have done. And that was before I got pregnant. And then I was nauseous and I remember when I went to go check out of school too, I remember there was like people, because you could tell I was pregnant. Like, I was a little itty bitty thing. Like, you could tell I was pregnant. And people would be like, oh, she's pregnant. Yeah, obviously I'm pregnant, and it's none of your business. Like, I don't even know you. It's none of your business. I remember the one girl too that, I don't know how she found out, but she was the one that started spreading it. And it's like, I had never even talked to her. We weren't friends. Like, I don't know why it was her. She felt like it was her duty to go tell everyone that I was pregnant, but I wasn't ashamed of it or anything. Like, the moment I found out I was pregnant with Carter, my entire world changed.
Yeah.
I was, I had all these plans of what I was going to do. And the moment I knew I was pregnant, it was Carter. Like, whatever I needed to do to make sure that he was safe and had a good life.
Yeah. Back to Connor.
Okay.
So he's not doing well. He's going downhill.
Yeah.
And you guys can tell, but that's kind of what led us off in that tangent. Like, it's so frustrating trying to help these people. So let's get back to that.
He was coming over. He came over to my house a couple times, and he came over and talked to me he asked me how I dealt with him cheating and stuff like that. Like I said, I was already pregnant with Sophia at the time, and I remember he came over a couple days after that and was giving away stuff, and Carter turned 1 on September 16th. Connor passed away the following month. It was the 9th of October 2013, so Carter was not even 13 months yet. But the entire time at Carter's first birthday party, we went to this place here. It's called Jumpin' Jacks. It doesn't exist anymore, but it was like, they had like inflatables.
Yeah, we've all been to something like this.
Yeah, so
pizza, they have the pizza, the greasy pizza, and then you just go jump on everything with the greasy hands. Yeah.
As an adult, when you do that, you're like, you get sick.
You try not to breathe too heavily, small breaths.
Yeah. The whole time, so he had told me that this girl had invited him to go to California with him. She was kind of seeing two guys at the same time. And I've talked to her about it and her point of view. But this is his point of view. This is what he told me. So she had invited him to go to California. And then like the night before, because he wasn't even going to come to Carter's birthday party. And the night before, I guess she told him that she's taking the other guy. And so he was like the whole time, he was wearing this ring on his finger that she had given him. And he was just pouting the whole time. And all of us were kind of treating it like even his dad was like, dude, like, come on, this is your son's birthday. Let's put a little pep in your step and let's get this moving. And we kind of just didn't, because he felt things so deeply, we kind of just didn't take him seriously all the time. We're like, oh, he's being dramatic.
Yeah.
And the morning that his mom called me and told me he passed away, that night was really weird. I kept having this feeling to I needed to call him or talk to him or, stuff like that. And this was I think it was after he passed, because he probably passed around midnight. But Carter was such a good baby, like had always been good sleeper, and that night he cried all night. The entire night was just screaming all night and never did that. And my brother was downstairs playing games and he came in and he was like, hey, do you need me to take him for a little while? And I'm like, no, I'll get him to sleep eventually. I asked my parents to help for a little while. I was exhausted and pregnant. I was due in January and this was October. And I'd finally gotten him to sleep and my phone starts ringing and it was like 7 a.m. And I see that it's Nikki, which is his grandma. And I was like, oh, I'm not going to answer. And I put it down. I was like, oh, maybe she wants to take him and then I can get some rest. So I answered the phone and she was like, Caitlin. They call me Caitlin because Connor went to school with me. And she was like, Caitlin. And I was like, yeah. And then she was just bawling. She's like, Connor's dead. Like, that's how she told me. And I mean, that phone call is etched, like burned into my brain. Like I can hear it. And I was just in shock. I was like, no. What do you mean? Like, I thought, oh, maybe he's in an ambulance. He thinks he's going to pass, or she thinks he's going to pass. But, like this stuff happens to other people. That doesn't happen to me. Like this doesn't happen. And she said, she's like, I got to go. They lived up the street. They didn't have anyone here. They didn't have any family. They were here still because of Carter, like all of their family had moved elsewhere. His dad was in Georgia and Nikki was here by herself. And I was in the basement at the time and I walked up the stairs, got to my parents. I hadn't cried yet. And I had gotten to my parents' door and I opened it and like, I feel like I was standing there forever, but it was just a couple of seconds and they could tell something was wrong. And they're like, what? And then when I finally was like, Connor passed away, like Connor died, that's when I lost it. And I was like, I've got to get up there. She's alone. I've got to get up there to her. She doesn't have anyone. And my parents were like, you're going to go into shock. And I was pregnant. So like, we'll go up there. And I'm really glad I didn't go up there because it was, a crime scene. And Nikki was heartbroken. I mean, what she had just seen and experienced, she had just gotten off work. She went and got them breakfast at Chick-fil-A because she worked night shifts. And she pulled into the house and she could hear the music playing. He had a Jeep and the music was really loud, which his neighbors heard too all night and no one, I don't know. But she got closer to the door and she could hear the alarms going off. It was the carbon monoxide alarms. And that's when she went in there and he was in the garage and she found him and she didn't have anyone here. But it was like those next few weeks, like trying to plan his funeral and everything, like his family really clung to Carter and he was a source of peace for them because it's like they have an actual physical piece of Connor, like Carter's his own person, but they have a piece of their son that I know it gives them peace. They've told me how much peace it gives them. He lived with them for a year last year. And when I had left my abusive marriage, I didn't have anywhere to go, and he went and lived with him for a year, and he's been back since almost a year, since May.
Carter, how you doing hearing that about your dad?
It's like, I don't know. I never really knew him.
Yeah.
I wonder that with Blue, you know?
Yeah.
Because obviously it's impacted him, whether, you know, unconsciously or consciously, and then just the dynamic of growing up in that environment. Yeah. For better or for worse. But
how old was Blue?
He was 3, almost 4, but...
Does he have any memory of his mom?
No. I mean, of his mom, yeah, like he'll remember stories of them, but
siblings?
No memory of the accident. Yeah, he has memories of the siblings. He'll tell me and Sammy some things that he remembers doing. He was just telling Sammy one the other day. You were telling me about it. I don't know if you remember off the top of your head. Oh, the ice cream. What about the ice cream one? Yeah, we were grocery shopping, or maybe just Sammy and Blue, and Blue was telling Sammy Courtney's favorite flavor of ice cream, and I was like, "Wow!" Like, and it was correct.
That's funny.
I'm like, "Wow, what do
you remember?"
Yeah, like he still remembers them.
He Carter was 13 months, so I mean, anytime he's had a question, even since he was little, there's certain things where it's like, okay, you know, that's beyond what I can answer for you right now. Like you can't comprehend that, but my policy has always been honesty, because Connor was human. And I think a lot of times too, people would just try to, you know, say the very best things about people. But then that paints this image of like, well, then, you know, for a child, like, was it me? Like, was I the factor? And I've always tried to just be honest about, like, you know, everyone has good and everyone has bad, and these are the good things, and if he asks, these are the bad, you know. But no one is all good, too. I just want my son to be able to see the human in his dad and form his own opinions. And I have a bunch of like notes and stuff that we wrote each other still, and we have pictures and things. But I forgot the month before, when he was coming over to my house and like talking to me and stuff, he had gone home and filmed a video. It was an hour-long video. So he'd been planning for a while to do what he did. And he had told his best friend that he had gone as far as to make a video, but then was like, oh, you know, he's like, oh, don't be stupid. His friend, you know, he said, don't be dumb. And Justin was his friend. He told me that when we were kind of cleaning out the house, because they wanted to move, you know, she was moving, she wasn't going to stay there, and we were cleaning out the house, and we went and looked in his computer, and that's when he found it. And, you know, he addresses me, and he addresses my ex-husband, because my ex-husband was my neighbor growing up, and he knew Connor. Like, we all went to school together, and they were friends. And my parents, his grandparents, his brother, and he talks about Carter too in it, but it's really hard because a lot of it is going back to that girl that hurt him, even when he's talking about his son. It's just like, he was just a 19-year-old kid, you know, that didn't see past tomorrow, and he was really, really hurting, and none of us could do anything at that point.
How hard was it to watch that video? How long was it?
It was an hour. I think it was an hour and like 10 minutes.
It was long.
Mm-hmm. And Justin and I sat there and watched it together. And I remember when it ended, we just sat in silence. And Justin was like, what the fuck was that? Because he's like, he's not, you can tell he's not in his right mind.
19 years old.
19 years old.
So, garage, you kept the car running?
Yeah. And they think he went in at like 11 or 12, and the car was still running when his mom got home. So he had filled up the tank, and it was going all night. But I mean, he's probably gone a couple minutes, and his neighbors heard the music playing all night too. Like he had texted her too, saying that he was going to. He had been using substances. I know he had been drinking. I don't know what else he used. I don't think he was like, not anything like hardcore, but I know he had been drinking, and I don't know what he was mixing with. I know that my parents, when they went up there, they said there was like bottles of NyQuil and beer and liquor and stuff. So he was completely not in his right mind at that point in time too.
A lot of people who've lost a loved one to suicide, they kind of flip through the emotions of obviously sadness, some guilt, anger, maybe even at them. And then also, I don't know the right way to put this, but like just understanding, or maybe like, I'm glad they're not in pain anymore. How does that land with you? Are you feeling those emotions, or what's it been like?
The hard thing, so like Carter and I never really had the space to grieve because my ex-husband didn't allow it. I was spending time with his family after he passed, like when we were getting ready to do funeral stuff. And he would get angry and say, oh, well, you're acting like you're the widow and you're. I dated Connor for 2 years and I had a son with him and I was close with his family. I wasn't saying that I was still dating him or, anything like that, but he would get really mad. And anytime it was brought up, he would shut it down. So now that we're in a place with, like, my boyfriend now gives us the space. So I feel like the last year has been, we're finally able to grieve.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So it's been, it'll be 13 years this year.
So what have you been doing for 13 years with it?
Shoving it down. And
how's that been going?
It was awful.
Yeah.
It was horrendous because it was like, and when you love someone, regardless of how you have to split ways, whether you're like, I can't be around you anymore, I can't, love is unconditional, but that doesn't mean like people can have access to you always, right? So like the love that I have for Connor will never change. Like I loved him just because it wasn't healthy for me anymore to be in that relationship. Didn't change that. And I don't know why to my ex that was so threatening, because it was like, first off, he's passed away, and second off, I knew I wasn't going to be with him. I don't know, but he wanted, Carter's name is Carter John Harris. Connor was Connor John Harris. He wanted to change his name to Carter Adrian Ortega after him, which would totally take his dad's name away. And he had been in his life since he was 3 months old. And that was one of the reasons that I started dating him too, is he was so good with Carter. But it was just like this controlling thing where he wanted to erase Connor, and that wasn't ever going to happen. You can't do that. But it was also that way grieving my daughter and my son with my ex-husband was like that. So we've gotten now where I have this space where I'm safe to grieve. I had a lot of emotions. Like they've all been surfacing and hitting me where like I feel like I can actually feel them, where I don't have to like worry about like someone getting mad at me for grieving my own children or the father of my child. Because I spent over a decade pretending that I wasn't hurt. And I was. And rightfully so. Rightfully so.
Yeah, absolutely. What made you feel like you had to hide it?
He would get angry. And with my kids, so like with my kids, it started when Maya passed away, where whenever like people would say, oh, you had to take care of her, because I almost lost my life giving birth to Maya, and we can get into that, but anytime someone would be like, you're going to have to take care of her, he would be like, well, what about me? What about me? The moms get all the attention, but what about me? And same with Oliver, he literally said to me, well, you got to grieve Maya. It's my turn. Like, what? Like, I literally couldn't. I had to take care of him after losing Oliver. And instead of us like leaning on each other, and I never asked him with Maya or Oliver or Connor to not feel his feelings or not grieve. I took care of him, and it's not like it was a chore, but for him, it was like a power play. Like, oh, well, I'm the grieving dad, and no one gives the dads attention. And I don't know how your mind goes there. It just doesn't make any sense to me, but that was his mindset. And then it's crazy where like my boyfriend, who has like his grandmother lived with him, and he was really, really close with his grandma. So he experienced that type of loss, but he's like, I can't even fathom any of your losses, but he gives me more space to feel feelings than someone who should have, known exactly how I felt about it.
That makes you angry.
Yeah, it does.
Confused.
Yeah. We actually have, we had a bunch of domestic violence charges and things, and they gave him a deal where it was going to be for one of the charges. It was domestic violence. It was a felony domestic violence voyeurism. And because he recorded me in the shower after we weren't together and then sent it to me when he was mad at me. And,
like in hopes of like a black, like in hopes
I
of
don't
what?
know. Cause he told my boyfriend to, so, okay. When I finally left, so I had gone in February 2024, I went to the domestic violence shelter. In November of 2023, so the same year Oliver passed away, I had planned to leave, and he found out, and he beat me up that night in front of my daughter. My daughter was 3 at the time, and she woke up because she was in our room, and it wasn't the first time that he had put his hands on me, but my brother was living with us at the time, and he called my parents, and so they called the police. And because I was so like deep in it, I begged them not to arrest him. Begged them, even though my face is swollen. He'd need me in the face in front of my child. I was
scared
begging.
it would get worse, or what? Or
well, yeah, and I mean it did too. Like it did. I never thought I was going to be able to get out of that situation. And I think people that haven't ever been in a domestic violence situation, they don't understand. Like, oh, well, why did you keep going back? You become powerless, or you feel powerless at least. And he blamed me for him getting arrested. Said it was my fault. And I mean, still to this day, I've been having to work on a victim's impact statement because we have sentencing coming up. But he ended up getting, we had the domestic violence voyeurism. And he got 5 Class A misdemeanors and then 2 Class B misdemeanors. There was a couple other charges, but they ended up just giving a whole deal because the prosecutor was like, I don't want you to have to keep coming back and having to testify and fight for this. And he's like, with the voyeurism, I was in the domestic violence shelter, and I went back with him because the Dove Center down here is like, it's wonderful. It's a wonderful resource, but they give you 30 days. And I didn't have anything. I didn't know how I was going to create a life in 30 days. They're like, well, we can go week by week. And if if we have space for you, we'll keep you. And it's like, well, where am I going to go? That puts me back into the arms of my abuser in a month. You know what I mean? So I ended up moving into an RV with him, all of our kids into an RV because he wasn't working. And my sister, so he had sexual battery charges against her when she was a minor, and I saw her. She was in town, and I went and saw her, and he found out and completely flipped out, was punching the wall right by my head, and my son was sitting right there, and I remember looking at him, and he was terrified, and it was Noah, and I had a friend that he was abused, and I would always tell him, like, you didn't deserve that, like, I can't believe your mom protected your dad. And he said to me, he was like, the fact that you keep going back and protecting that man over your kids is, you're no better than my mom. Like, yes, the abuse isn't as bad because like he had way more abuse, but that comment hurt, but it was true. I was protecting someone who didn't need to be protected. I didn't need to protect his image. He's making his own decisions. He's a grown adult. And my sister encouraged me to call a Dove Center, and I was like, oh, you know, all these things, and I won't be able to build a life in a month, and then I'll end up back with him. And I called, they didn't even have space at the Dove Center, but in Cedar, Canyon Creek, they were like, yeah, they're like, we don't have space. And then they called me back and they're like, hey, we moved some people around and we got a room for you and your kids. So that night I went and moved into Canyon Creek, and that was my saving grace. You can stay there as long as you need to. And it was sucked to have to keep going back and forth, but I had a safe place. And he ended up getting arrested that week because he went to court and said he was following up on his probation stuff. It's like pre-trial probation. And the probation officer was there and was like, no, he's not. And so the judge sent him to jail. And that was my fault too, apparently. Everything was always my fault. No accountability.
They're very good at making you feel like it's your fault.
Yeah. There's zero accountability which is so frustrating because it's like everyone makes mistakes. Everyone does bad things. But if you're not willing to own the bad things that you've done and move forward, it teaches our kids too that you don't need to have accountability for anything. Just blame everyone else.
Yeah, that's where it gets frustrating for me too. Like, if you make a mistake, I get it, but now we're just lying and covering it up. Like,
it's not my fault because, okay, well then I don't even want to hear it. But I had moved into that shelter and I was there. He was in jail for a month. And they finally made a deal with him with my sister's charges, even though he still had the DV pending. And then he's on probation for retail theft, a couple other things. And I had met my boyfriend. We weren't dating at the time. We had barely really known each other. But I had a car that I was driving. They put it in his mom's name so that if I left him, they could report it stolen. And the minute he gets out, they're messaging me like, hey, we're going to call the cops if you don't bring this car back. So I had to take the car back to him, and they gave me a truck that had no AC, middle of summer, and I couldn't afford the gas to get back up to Cedar, so I effectively had nowhere to go because they took that car from me. And my boyfriend was like, hey, you know, I've got a 4-bedroom house, and you can come stay here, but I had just met this man, and I couldn't bring my kids that would have been wildly inappropriate for me to do.
Plus you probably have trust issues. Like you're probably not like.
Yeah. And that's why I'm like, I know that people will put their best face forward in the beginning. And I slowly started bringing my kids around. We go swimming, we get pizza and watch a movie, you know, like, it was a slow thing where like, okay, I see myself being with this person, but I wasn't not about to like, I barely had a place to stay. And I try to make myself so small. Like I didn't bring any of my stuff in. I was doing, you know, cleaning his house. I was doing everything that I could I wanted to make myself almost not there, you know? And so I was having to go to his mom's house while he worked and watch the kids while he was working. And he would usually text me before he got home so that I could just, you know, my daughter was like 11, so like 10 minutes with the younger 2 and he'll be home. But he didn't text me this time. I was taking a shower because, again, I wanted to make myself small. I didn't want to use his shower. I mean, looking back, it would have been fine. But like then I just, you know, I didn't want to take up any space for anyone. And when I got out of the shower, he was there and he was like, oh, someone could have, you know, come in and robbed and you would have no idea. And I was like, what do you mean? And he's like, I just recorded you for 2 minutes in the shower and you had no idea. And when I started like freaking out, he was like, oh, it's just a joke. Oh, it's just a joke. That's always his excuse. So, oh, it's just joking. Like, okay. And a month later, it was his birthday. And I was dating Forrest at the time. And he texted me, I know what I want for my birthday. And I was like, what? And he's like, never mind. And I was like, this is weird, what? And he said SMD. And I was like, that's wildly inappropriate. Actually, we're going to have to cut out his name. Anytime that I say his name, just because we have court stuff right now and we're still in custody.
Ryan, you got that. Got to take his name out.
I told him it was wildly inappropriate. And he was like, as appropriate as this, and then sends me that video. And you can totally tell I have no idea I'm being recorded. And he told my boyfriend too at one point. I can't remember. He was yelling at me on the phone or something, and my boyfriend had had enough. And he was like, "This, you're not going to treat her like that." And he's like, she took a shower at my house. And he's like, yeah, I know. And you recorded it, and we're going to hold you accountable for it. And we have. But I started slowly bringing the kids in. And by August, I had my 4-year-old was with me every day while the kids were in school. And I was driving from Desert Canyons all the way out in the airport out to over by the mall is where their school is. It's Panorama.
Yeah, it is far.
Every morning and every evening, or when they got out, I was driving. I'm still doing it for my oldest daughter. She goes to Pineview Intermediate over there, and I'm having to do all that driving every day. But, sorry, my lips are dry.
No, you're good. This is hard enough, and we haven't even gotten to.
Yeah, I know.
Kids
my boyfriend all the time is like, he's always like, you've lived a wild life. And I'm like, yeah, I know.
And you got a ways to go. Like,
yeah.
Sorry for that. We're good. I guess it's all how you look at it, right? Like, good things will happen too, probably. So that's good.
Well, and the thing too, and a lot of people don't understand this, but everything that I've been through has come out with positives, even the losses. Like I learned positive things through my pain and grief. And my biggest teachers in this world have been infants. One that didn't even get to take a breath. And then the other one lived 9 months, never spoke a word. But I learned more from those two people than I have ever learned from anyone else. And people don't understand when I say that I see the positives in their passing. And it's not like I'm like, wow, this is so great. It's positive that they passed. But they brought forth positive change for me. Like, I think I would still have been in that marriage had Oliver not passed. Wow. Like, Oliver made me want to be happy and live. Whereas when Maya passed away, I just gave up for years and years. The week that Oliver passed, I had posted a video on TikTok. I was laying, and there was a queen bed in the room that he passed in, and then there was a pack and play, and that's what he slept in. But I was laying on that bed with him, and I was just looking at him, and I was like, because when I had Maya, I had papers signed to tie my tubes. I was 21 years old, but I had 3 kids at that point, and I was like, I don't want any more kids. I want to be done. And I was laying there like, if everything had gone right with her, because they had ignored, we'll get into that, but they had ignored what I was saying, and I ended up having the abruption. I would have had a C-section if they didn't ignore me, and I would have had my tubes tied, and I would have never had my Noah, I would have never had Brielle, and I would have never had those 9 months with Oliver. So I had posted a video on TikTok. It was literally like 4 days before he passed away. And I was like, life didn't go according to plan, but because it didn't, I'm sitting here snuggling, and we call him fat mans because he was just chunky. I'm sitting here snuggling a fat man, and I was like, life didn't go according to plan, but I'm okay with that. And then he passed away. So it was like I got to a point where I was good with my grief with Maya, where I was like, okay, there's an acceptance where it's never, when you lose a child, it's never going to be, they say the 5 stages of grief, you cycle through that. You go through that and go through that and go through that, and anything can trigger it. But I had gotten to the point for the first time where there was acceptance of like, I wouldn't have what I have now had I not experienced what I experienced with her. So that is still affecting me to this day, because it's like, I feel like if I feel content or happy, that it's going to hurt worse when life shits on me. Because this happened over and over and over again. And it's not just like, you know, oh, these stressful situations, like people are dying in my life. Like I'm having people that I love more than I have words to express be just ripped from me suddenly. And so I feel like if I sit and I'm content and I'm happy, I'm going to lose someone, or, you know, something's going to happen. So I'm trying to work through that, and I, you know, deserve happiness, and I deserve peace, and but it's hard. It's like, it's almost more frightening to be happy and content than it is to live in chaos and be sad. Because at least if I'm sad, then I'm already sad if something happens. But if I'm happy, I feel like the fall is going to be much worse.
I think that's why the self-sabotage is so real. Like, keep me away from the joy, because if I experience it, either something bad will happen or I'm going to feel bad later, is kind of what we tell ourselves. Because you have to go off your own past experiences, right? That's what your brain does.
That's your nervous
and so your
system
brain's like, okay,
to,
past experiences, oh shit, like, we should be freaking out right now. And
I've been trying to, because like our nervous systems, they are programmed by, you know, repetition of what's happened over and over and over again. And so now that I'm in a safe and healthy relationship with a man that only wants the best for me, like he would light himself on fire to make me warm, you know what I mean? And I will get to a point where I'm like overstimulated and take it out on him, because he's my safe place. And he is so calm and understanding. And he'll be like, I know this feels like reality, but he'll give me examples of why it's not reality. And he's like, okay, now let's come back to the ground. Like, let's say, but he's been so patient and helpful in that way, trying to reprogram my nervous system. And it's not easy because he feels like a target sometimes. And it's not like I'm trying to, but I will take out my anxiety or that feeling of like, oh, if I'm happy, then he will be the victim of it. And it's not fair to him, but he understands, and he's really good at working with me.
What are some things you said that you learned a lot from losing 2 kids?
Yeah.
Just want to ask more about that. Like, what do you mean by that? What are some things you've learned?
I've learned that life is precious and valuable, and that our time is the most valuable thing that we can give to someone, because we don't know how much time we have. No one knows. And it's made me I'm more gentle with myself and with others, because I know that we don't know how much time we have. They've taught me, like, I've got the most, it was, when I lost Oliver, it was nice, which is not even like the right word, but like I already had a group of lost moms that just came to my rescue. They were one of the first calls I made was to this lady that does molds of hands and feet and things when people pass away, babies. And I had an army of people surrounding me with similar shitty situations, but they showed up and they were willing to do anything they could to help me get through. because I would go to like, there was a group down here that was for lost moms, and immediately after Maya passed, I would go to that group. And I met some of the most amazing people, shitty circumstances, but amazing, amazing people.
There's like, you hurt and there's pain and it's not fair and there's grief. You just have grief losing kids. And then you have other kids that are alive. You have a life to live. You should be happy. You deserve to be happy. You deserve a guilt-free, happy life. How are you able to balance those two things? How are you able to honor the pain of it and then also honor them by living a productive, happy life?
When Maya passed away, I'm a very positive person. I always
You are a very positive person, and I think I'm glad you said that, because the person you are before trauma or grief matters. Mm-hmm. Like, it does truly matter, and I think that's helped you. You just kind of have this warrior, find the positive. I think you've just kind of always been that way, is my guess.
Well, I think that I would be crazy if I didn't, because I've had so many things happen, and like, I am more than these things that have happened to me, right? But it's also shaped me. So a lot of people will say, one of the things that is so asinine to me that people say is like, you are so much stronger than I am. I couldn't do that. So it's like, you're saying that you would have killed yourself.
Yes.
So like, I'm stronger than you because I thought about the people surrounding me, and I didn't kill myself. I had children that were going through trauma, and because people will be like, one of the comments I got recently on a video of Oliver was, I could have never put my child in a coffin and walked away. Neither could I, but I had to. It wasn't a choice. It wasn't multiple choice, like, oh, A, B, C, or D. Like, this is what I had to do. What was I going to do? Pack them in my car and go put them in my freezer at the house? Like, with Maya, when we were at her funeral, they had to pry her out of our arms. Like, they literally had to, because they're like, it's time, we've got to go. They even gave us an extra hour of holding her. But with Oliver, it was like, I had my kids, they were older, and this is what we had to do. It's so frustrating though. Like, oh, you're stronger than me. No, I'm not.
Colin Campbell, he said the same thing. He's like, I hate when people say that to me, because it's like, oh, am I doing it wrong then?
Yeah.
Like, is that what I should do? I should just go kill myself? Like, yeah. And I'm sorry that I hate it so much, because it is so hard to put your story out there and be vulnerable. It is. It's so scary and difficult because of these people with these comments that. So I'm sorry. And, I'm sure 99% of your messages are great. And like, hey, I needed this. But I'm sorry you get those ugly ones.
And they don't really, the thing that I realized too.
They go out. Okay, sorry. We had to take a break there to swap the batteries. Glasses are off. Shoes are off.
Yeah, shoes are off.
We're getting into it now. Here we go.
So I think we're talking about comments that people make. I also know that like ignorance is bliss, and thankfully they don't understand. And it's a reflection of them, not me. That is a them issue, not me. So like, and I also like when people make rude comments, I've got so many people, like those will be the most responded to comments when someone says something rude, like, wow, you're a piece of shit. So I really don't even have to worry about it. Like people will come to your defense. Yeah. But it's hard. Some of the details are hard to like open up about with like Oliver's passing, because people can just be so like, I posted.
So Oliver passed away from
SUID, sudden unexplained infant death. And then Maya I had a full placental abruption with her, and her story is really wild too.
So she died like giving birth, kind?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, they sent me home.
And that was your first child loss was
Maya.
Okay.
She was 2016. That's when I lost her. So.
And like for like no concerns going in, like healthy pregnancy.
Yep.
And you've had how many kids up to this point?
She was my third.
No miscarriages or so?
Nope. I never had any miscarriages. I had 2 after her trying for Noah.
Man, like I can't. Do you want to talk about this? Yeah. Let's do it. How did this is
so so you know, everything happened with Connor, but when I left Connor, my ex-husband was my neighbor growing up. I knew him from the time I was 11, and he'd always had a crush on me, and I was really good friends with him, but I just didn't reciprocate the feelings. But when I left Connor, I was really vulnerable, and he was, you know, we were hanging out, he was taking me out, and he was so good with my son, where I was in college, and Connor wouldn't keep Carter during the day, and my ex would. And he was so good with him. He was so good with him, and I knew I could trust him. So my parents were pushing me to date him because they're like, oh, you know, like how good he is with this, and he works, and
he's a father.
Yep. And so even though I was 18 at the time and really vulnerable. And so when he asked me to be his girlfriend, I remember he asked me over text too. But I remember sitting there like, I don't really want this, but like I should. Like I felt like I should want it. Looking back, I would have made very, very different decisions. But at the time, I felt like it was the best thing to do. It wasn't, but I didn't know any better. But we started dating in April. I think I left Connor in February. We started dating in like April. And May rolls around and I found out I was pregnant. I got pregnant the first time we did anything, and the only time that we weren't careful. So he didn't tell me that I could get pregnant. Like he didn't tell me, you know, I don't want to be too graphic, but like basically we had started and he was like, oh, we should wait until I have a condom. But he didn't tell me that was because it was like 14 seconds. I didn't know anything had happened. So I found out I was pregnant, and I literally remember I was at my friend's house and I took the test. The first one was invalid, and I was like, great. Now I got to wait a little while longer. And I took the second one, and before I could even get my pants up, it popped up. It was a digital, and it popped up pregnant. And I was like, I remember I went into my friend's living room, and I was like, but I have it. He was 5 months old. I was like, but I have a baby. I just kept repeating, but I have a baby. But I have a baby. And because my ex and I started dating.
Right, lots of cuts on that.
Every time I say that, I just be like, I don't think anything would come of it, but it's he's a turd. So, I almost was hoping that it wasn't his, just because I was like, okay, well, I know how to deal with that baby daddy. And I was like, now I'm going to be 19 in Utah with 2 different baby daddies within freaking 15 months of each other. And yeah, in Utah, you know. And I know that I've seen people like that and been like, damn, you know, but like in the situation of it, it wasn't nefarious or anything. Like it was just like, it just happened, and I wasn't trying for it. And we were very careful every other time besides the very first one. So, her pregnancy was, besides, you know, losing Connor halfway through, it was easy.
So then Connor died when you were pregnant.
Yes. So he died in October, and I was due with her in January. I had her in January. So he passed away like halfway through my pregnancy, and her pregnancy was super easy. I didn't have any issues. She was 2 pounds lighter than Carter, so she's a lot smaller. Like Carter's massive. But I wanted 3. I always wanted 3. And sorry, I need it. My lips are really dry. And this is at the end of its rope.
Take your time. You got to have the lips looking good, you know?
Well, they're dry too, so it's like, so we weren't trying for Maya, but we weren't not trying because I was like, cool, I'll have 3 real young, and then they'll be grown in my 30s, and I'll have a life to myself. With her, her pregnancy was the hardest pregnancy. I was throwing up 4 to 5 times a day. Like I would eat and just go to the bathroom because I knew I was going to throw up. I had migraines the first time in my life where I felt like a hammer was just pounding my head. I had no energy. And I was seeing the high risk specialist at the time for that pregnancy because of all those things that were going on. But she was growing and everything looked healthy and fine. And I went with Carter and Sophia. My water broke when I went into labor. So I went into labor with him at 39, and I had my water fully broke. And And then Sophia, hers was partially broke at 38 weeks. So with Maya, I started going into labor, but it was weird. I was like, this is, like labor was kind of weird. And I went in around like 5 a.m. with her. And I was like, I have some pain up here. And she had been, because I was at the high risk, they do like non-stress tests where you have to go in and they monitor you for an hour. And they're like, okay, they're good. And you have to do it multiple times a week when you're high risk. And I had gone in a couple of days before that and she was breech. But I told the nurse, I was like, I think she's transverse. So breech is where, the butt's down instead of the head, and the transverse is sideways, whether it's this way. And I was like, I'm pretty sure her head is here and her feet are here. And I'm like, and I also have this pain underneath my ribs right here. And it was shift change because I went in at 5. And she was like, well, if I can't feel the head, then we're going to pull the ultrasound machine out. But if I can, then, you're only dilated to a 1. You are contracting, but she's like, since your water broke the last 2 times, like just come back when your water breaks or your pain's at a 10. So she checks me the first time and I'm a 1, and goes to check me again to see if she can feel her head. And she's feeling around, for like a minute, 2 minutes, and she's like, oh, it's a head, it's a shoulder, it's an elbow, and then she's like, it's a head. It's her head. And she's like, come back when your pain's a 10. So we went home and I took a bath and then laid down for a little bit because I hadn't slept. I was contracting all night. And I remember we went and got in and out, took my kids to my parents' house, and we're going to go on a walk. So, because I was like, well, contractions, it was weird because when you go to labor, normally contractions are like, 3 minutes apart, 4 minutes apart, whatever. These were like, it'd be like 7 minutes, then it'd be like 2 minutes, then it'd be like, they were weird.
Way random.
Yeah, and she had told me the pain she's like, it's probably just trapped gas under your rib, like, you're fine. That's important to the story. But we went down to, my parents and his parents lived right across the street from each other. They owned their homes, and they had forever. And we start walking, I didn't even get to the end of the block, and then it was just excruciating. Like, I couldn't breathe, I couldn't move, and I'm thinking I'm going to, give birth right now. Like, that's how painful it was. And we had walked down because we lived in apartments that were up the hill. We had walked down, and then we're going to walk more. And so before I got to the end of the block, his mom was at work. So I called my mom and I was like, Mom, I need you to take us back up to the car. I need to go to the hospital. Like, pain is so intense right now. And she came and took us up to the house or the apartment, and my ex he wanted to take a shower. So yeah. So I'm in excruciating pain, like screaming, right?
Sorry.
And he's like,
I just was not ready for that one.
yeah.
Sorry.
He wanted to take a shower. He didn't want to be dirty.
Yeah,
Going to the,
let's get in the shower real quick.
yeah. If you have to deliver, at least do it.
Oh, what's that? What's that?
Yeah. Well, I had to take a shower. Yeah. So he took a shower, and I remember my mom stayed with me during that time. She's like, dude, you need to get over to the hospital. And I remember getting to the hallway where he was, and I'm like, I was like telling him, I was like, we need to go. Like, we need to go. I'm going to give birth in the car. Let's go. And it was the old hospital, not the new one. So we had to go all the way
in St. George.
Yeah.
That's where Riggins was born.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. She was born there. Noah was my rainbow baby after her. And they were getting ready to open the new hospital. And I was like, cool. I don't have to give birth at the same place I was traumatized. And it ended up pushing it back a week. And he was like the 11th last baby that was born at the old one.
No.
But it was really healing.
Oh,
because it was like, yeah, because I was telling my social worker that works with the lost moms, I was like, I can't go and do that again. I can't do that. And she's like, look at it as a healing experience, because you're going to have a healthy baby in the place that, you experienced all this. It was a really healing experience. And then my nephew was like the 5th baby born at the new hospital the next month. And I was
way.
But anyway, we leave the house and we're driving there. And in my mind, I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to give birth in the car. Like, that's how much pain I was in. And it was so different though, because with him, I went into labor. Like, once my water broke, it was full on like labor. With Sophia, it was my water partially been broken, and they had to start my labors, and I got epidurals with them as soon as I could. But I was like, this is weird. This doesn't feel the same as, labor has felt in the past. But I was like, maybe it's just because I'm about to give birth. And I remember we were rounding the corner by the temple to go into the hospital. And I was like, I don't remember the last time she moved. I remember when we were eating In-N-Out earlier, she like rolled, like just moved a little bit, but it was just like, it was weird. It was just a slow, and then I don't think I felt anything else after that. And I was like, oh, it's nothing, I'm like, oh, I didn't think about it. And I didn't do kid counts or anything back then. I didn't know anything like that was important. And I think it was like, it probably wasn't even 4 or 5 hours since the last time I had been to the hospital. And we get in there, and the first thing, they want to do a urine and all those things. And I go into the bathroom, and I'm like, I'm going to pass out. Like, I got really, really dizzy, like lightheaded and dizzy.
Like, they're just not getting it, are they? Like,
yeah,
you're not doing good. This isn't normal. Like,
yeah, the nurse opens a alcohol prep pad, and she's like, "These help you smell it, and it'll help with your nausea." Yeah. And they go to put the monitor on. You've had kids, so the heart rate one, and she's moving it. And moving it and moving it. And then at one point, she finds a heartbeat, but it's way too slow. That's mine. That's my heart rate. And she's like, just one sec, I'm going to go grab the Doppler. And, this is easier to find. She grabs a Doppler, radio silence. You can't hear anything. And she's trying not to, like, my ex is over in the corner eating Mexican candy, just like on his phone, chilling. And I know something's not right. When a baby is full term, it's easy to find their heart rate. And they brought in the high risk doctor. And they pulled out the ultrasound machine, which if they would have done in the morning, would have prevented all of this from happening. But they pulled out the machine, and very rapidly, they could see that there was no heartbeat. And I remember screaming, but like it was like it wasn't me. Like, you know what I feel like I was outside looking in on the experience of someone else going through this, which I also experienced the moment I found out all of our past, and I'll get into that. But the doctor's like, you have a massive abruption. He's like, I'm not sure if it's full or not, but you're bleeding and we need to get you back to C-section 10 minutes ago. You know, like, we need you in there now. And they start prepping me for everything, and they run labs. And my doctor shows up, and he's been my doctor since I was 3. He's family health doctor, or our primary care, but he also delivered all my kids and a couple of my siblings even too. 4 of my siblings, all my kids. And he hadn't, in his career, he'd had 1 stillbirth, and it was while he was in school. So it wasn't even like his patient, and he had a really, really hard time with it. But he comes in and he goes, your platelets are so low that if we took you back to C-section right now, you would die. We can't take you back to C-section. And he's like, we're going to have to try to induce labor and race against the clock because you are bleeding, and the only way to stop that bleeding is birth, and we can't give birth until you've dilated. So my parents got there, and his mom and sister got there, and they moved us they have a room specifically for people that are giving birth to babies that A, aren't going to make it, or B, already haven't. And in that room, when you move over, it's really nice. It's a nice room, but there's pictures of stillborns on the wall and stuff. And I'd known people that had had stillborns, and sometimes when people have stillborns, if it's not life-threatening, they'll make you wait a couple days to induce labor and stuff. Maya was barely past, but I didn't know what that was going to look like, and having those pictures was hard because it was like, this is my reality now. Like, my child is no longer living, and I'm going to give birth to a baby that's never going to take a breath. But they started Pitocin, and I was in screaming excruciating pain. It was because what happens when you have an abruption is the placenta detaches completely from the uterus. And the only way to stop that bleeding is birth, because that normally happens after birth. Right. And your body doesn't know what's going on, so it goes into one contraction and stays. So, like, right here where the abruption had happened, it was, oh my gosh, I can't even explain how excruciating that pain was. Like, there's nothing I've ever felt physically, pain-wise, that could even remotely compare to how bad that was. And because my clotting factor is supposed to be in the thousands, it was 32. It was 32, and it should have been like 6,000. Jeez. The following day, the high-risk doctor he was the one that literally did the ultrasound and told me that my baby had passed away. And he came into the room, and he was like, how's the fetal movement? And I was like, I was like, well, yeah. What? He was like, oh, well, how much fetal movement are you getting? I was like, my baby died. Like, you were the one, like, what is going on here? And he's like, oh, I'm in the wrong room.
Oh my God.
Oh, I'm in the wrong room. And they were just trying to chalk it up. Like, oh, it's the nurse's fault. This guy, thank God he doesn't work there anymore. He was horrendous. But he then gets mad at the nurse because he was like, well, now he's like, you take me into the wrong room first, which she followed him in. It wasn't the other way around. He's like, you gave me the report of a postmortem patient. This is not the patient. And it was, but he's like, I don't know how you lived. Like, I don't know how your clotting factor was this low and you lived. But anyway, they were giving me like IV pain medication. I'm begging for an epidural, but like, it drops your blood pressure and like can be detrimental, which it ended up being. But I was begging. They were giving me fentanyl as much as they could, and it wasn't doing anything.
They're giving you fentanyl.
Yeah. Yep. And it wasn't doing anything. It wasn't even touching the pain. It was the highest amount that they could give me. And I literally was like, this is like putting a Band-Aid over a gunshot wound. Like, I don't know.
So you went through this indescribable pain, and your baby died too. Didn't make it.
Yeah, it was really the strangest thing. Like, they had told my family that they didn't think that I was going to make it. No one said anything to me. And my dad told them specifically, don't tell her that she has the possibility of dying, because if that comes up, I think she'll choose it. And I think I would have if I even had, because I was even though I had kids and stuff, like, I was in so much, I was anguished, where it was like, I think if that was an option, I don't know if I would have fought the way that I did.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't really, I mean, I had kids that needed me. And I remember when they finally were like, okay, things are settled a little bit, we can do the epidural now. They were having, I think my mom and my ex were in the room with me, and they finally decided that they were going to be able to do the epidural, which I was like, relief, finally. And the nurse had put the IV in my hand. It was kind of like on a valve. And, sorry.
Oh, you're good.
They had given me an anti-anxiety medication for the epidural that basically like makes you, I don't know if you've ever had like a procedure where they sedate you, but it's not like, I get spinal injections and they give the same thing. It's like, you're not sedated where you're not out, but it basically like you're there, but you're not there.
Yeah.
And they were like, okay, well, we can give you some of this, because leaning over was painful, because it was, it was pushing on that spot. So they gave me some anxiety meds, and they put the first shot of it in my IV, and I didn't really feel any different. And then they put the second one. It was kind of in a valve, so I don't know if it was pooling or what. But as soon as they did that, I was just out, gone. Like, the only thing I remember is I was leaned over. Did your wife have epidurals when she gave birth? So you know the whole process. So I was leaned over onto my ex-husband and my mom. And I remember like feeling a pop, and my IV had blown all over my ex. Yeah. So, because my veins were retracting, I was bleeding to death. So they were trying to send blood to the vitals and take away from what wasn't. So that was one of the last things that I remember before I had my near-death experience. And I remember when they had I remember like them laying me back after the epidural, and knowing that the pain was like the relief of that. But the nurse was holding one of those puke bags like this, and I was so weak that I couldn't sit up. So I ended up just throwing up all over myself, and then that's when I like
zoned out.
Yeah, it was all over my hair, and I don't know why she was holding it like this.
Just
like,
as it closed off.
Oh, this is, one second. Can I take this real quick?
Yeah, go for it.
Hello. Hey, I'm in the middle of filming a podcast with someone here in town. What's that? Is everything okay? Oh, okay. All right. Love you. Bye. My boyfriend's mom. She said.
Is everything okay?
Yeah. She said it was good news about something. Oh, it's probably, he's got surgery next week, and I needed her to watch my 5-year-old, but that's probably what it is. So what could it be?
There you go.
Okay. So I remember throwing up, and then that's it. And the anesthesiologist was in the room at the time, because he had just done my epidural. Yeah. And I remember them saying that my pulse was thready. But the thing is I wasn't conscious when all of this was going on. Like I was, like they couldn't, my blood pressure was so low it wasn't registering. And my heart beat was, I think it was like, it went down to like 19 beats per minute. Like it was.
You should be dead.
Yes, I should be dead. Like,
isn't that like, sorry, you can finish telling the story. I'm just.
Yeah, no, ask me.
What's that like? What do you think that means? Like having a near death experience?
I remember passing away. I don't remember everything because it was like something.
So like you saw like what like DMT dump? You saw heaven? You saw God?
No, there was so for me, I didn't go anywhere. I stayed in the room, and the strangest thing for me was that like I don't even know. It's so hard because a lot of it is like unexplainable to the human mind of what I was seeing or experiencing. But like, it was almost like I could like look at the hospital above and see every room and every person that was in it. Even though I'm still in this room, like I could see it. I could see that my ex-husband was changing because I had blood, from my IV on him. And I could see that the anesthesiologist was panicking and thinking that I was going to die right here in front of my family. And he was almost certain that I was going to die, and he was terrified. And I could see that, and I could feel it. I could feel his emotions. It was so weird. But I remember going, Carter, he loves cats. Look.
You can pet our cat.
We just got one, but
he's the best cat. He'd love to. Yeah, you should play with him.
But I remember like death was so. I was always so terrified of dying. Like that was like such not an irrational fear because it's
we're all gonna die,
but it was like terrifying to me. And then when I experienced it, it was like the most like coming home feeling that you can imagine. And I didn't like go to heaven or anything like that. And I also just think it wasn't my time, it wasn't, but there was just certain things that, I was told and shown, or like when they were like free will exists here and then it exists there. And, you can choose to stay. And if you do, these are all the things that you'll miss out on. And they showed me them. Those aren't things that I took back with me. And what I mean by that is like, I know this happened. I remember it happening, but they weren't about to be like, here's your future and here's everything, because then why are you going to live life, right? Like you are going to miss out on all these things. And this is going to be the impact on the world, because it showed me like, there wasn't like people, or it was just like energy, and we existed, and like.
It's kind of like a dream where like, the feeling of it when you're in it, and it's just really hard to explain when you're not in the dream.
Yeah, kind of. And they showed, like when I was seeing different things, it was like every person on this planet affects the entirety of reality, and they showed me the fabric of reality.
It sounds like a mushroom trip to me.
It
sounds like.
I know. And it's hard. Like I don't really talk about it with people, because then they're like, oh, well, you were just, DMT dump or something like that. And I'm like, I was in the room. Like I saw things that.
Well, yeah. And even if it's whatever, it doesn't take away from the experience.
Yeah.
Like,
well, and even if it was a DMT dump, whatever makes me, whatever energy makes up my life was not in my body. And I know that.
That's one of the things that's comforting about mushrooms is where it's coming from.
Yeah.
It's the mushroom. This is what the mushroom's telling me. Instead of like
Yeah.
I'd be terrified if I didn't know where these thoughts
Yeah,
are
people
coming
always
from.
would be like, "Oh, you were just high. You were just high on DMT." Like maybe, but also whatever that is took me out of my body, and I could see my dad's thoughts. I could see my dad was like I asked him about this later. I was asking him what he was thinking in that moment, and he told me exactly what I saw, which is crazy, but he was wondering, do we get one coffin and put me and Maya in the coffin together, or do we get two? I could see all of those. He was imagining what it would look like, and my ex-husband didn't even know because he was in the bathroom. Yeah.
At least you said X this time.
Yeah.
What did you see? Me and Sophia.
You guys, no, you were already living. I didn't see you guys. I know that when they were like, "Hey,"
Felt test or something.
I mean, I just felt. I know that they were like, "Hey, these are all the if you die, if you choose to not go back, this is how the world will be affected." And that's what I was saying is, they showed me the fabric of reality where it's like, from every single person, every decision they make changes reality. Whether
like the
you're
butterfly effect, kind of.
Whether you're a chicken farmer in China or the president of the United States, your impact is great. Every decision has a ripple effect on everyone. And they showed me that. And the other thing that I was shown was karma. And it's on the other side, it was like a real, tangible thing. Like this
you
is
can hold it. Like it's a pet snake.
Yep, exactly.
This is karma.
This is karma.
And how you treat the snake, it will determine or what.
And I was religious growing up. I was Mormon. And
you're growing in Utah.
It's kind of just like,
you really let go of that straight and narrow pretty quick, didn't you, with the teen pregnancy?
Yeah.
Gosh dang.
I did.
Gosh darn it.
Can I get another water?
Oh yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sam.
My mouth's super dry. So I had grown up religious too, and one of the things I had asked was because growing up, I don't believe in that now. I don't believe in the church whatsoever anymore. And that experience was one of the major reasons why I didn't, because I had asked what was, I've felt the spirit before. I had been to the temple and felt the spirit. And I was like, so what is this, And they were like, whatever a person needs to connect to us is fine by us, these things are man-made. They're not even close to, but if it gives them and it opens the door for them to be able to connect to the, higher being or whatever, then fine by me. But they're like, there's no, religion is a man-made construct for control. But
so after this experience, what's your view on death?
It doesn't scare me anymore. I am afraid of losing people, of others, but my own, because the peak of it was when they were they called it source, but God, the energy of God, this is going to make me so emotional. But I remember when they were when source is what they called it, and that's what I call it now too, and source came forward, it was the unconditional love was something that I was well, I gave it every reason of why I didn't deserve it. And then every time I would give a reason why I didn't deserve it, they gave me 500 reasons why. Well, yeah, you did that, but you also did that because of all of these things. And it literally was the warmest, safest, there's not even human words to describe how.
Just sound like so much empathy and love.
Yeah. Yep. And
why are you so emotional about it?
because it was just like, there's nothing on this planet that you can experience that replicates that feeling. It's I can say safety, peace, warmth, but that doesn't even it doesn't even come close to the depth of this love energy that I felt. And I was shown that heaven and hell are a man-made thing as well. It's everyone returns to the peace, and karma is what, if you do something, everything you do, good or bad, has karma. And whether you live out that karma in this lifetime or, which I was not even a believer in reincarnation until I was shown it.
My thing with karma is like, my family are really good people. Where was our karma for the accident?
That would, from what I could understand, would have been some sort of past life thing where it's like, because I had so many questions, right? Like, well, then what did I do to deserve my child dying? They're like, nothing. This was something you agreed to. This was something that, and for whatever reason, it's what my soul needed in this lifetime to move up and move forward. And it's kind of shitty because people are like, well, I didn't, karma can be a double-edged sword where it's like, well, I didn't do anything to deserve this. What did I do to deserve this? And it's not looked at like that from the other perspective. We have the human ego and, things like that make us question things like that. But it just, the way it works is something we can't even comprehend. We can't even wrap our minds around how vast the depth is of the way that things work, which I still can't even wrap my head around because I'm human and everything here has a beginning and an end.
How did this perspective help you with the loss of your second child?
It gave me a lot of peace because I knew the moment that he left his body, that's where he went. That's what he felt, and that's where his peace was, or his soul was in peace, because I had experienced it. And it's so strange. Like, it's hard to explain because we have our brains, our computers, and we can, we've had experiences that are what is the word I'm looking for? It's like they're finite. Like, we don't have, it's hard because our mindsets are, everything has a beginning and an end, and and I asked what the purpose of life and was, and it was like basically to make an infinite, they're like, infinity, eternity would only be so fun for so long, like, without experience.
Well, I think infinity is the same. It's the exact same thing as damnation in a way.
Yeah.
Like, if you're just going to say you live forever
with harps and
that's
halos
just
and
as
floating, like,
well,
vacation's only fun because you come home.
Don't get me started on this. Like, I think
vacation is only fun because you come home. It wouldn't be fun to, if you move to the spot where you're vacationing, then that's home and you're going to want to go somewhere else. Like, so that's what one of my questions was, like, what are we doing here? And the energies that I thought that was funny. They thought it was like, it was a humorous to them, where they're like, you'll understand one day. But this experience was something that was exciting. And it was to make an infinite source finite. Like, to experience as an infinite being, you know, energy cannot be created nor destroyed. An infinite being is now finite and has the reality of death, where you can only exist as this person for this amount of time. So, but on the physical aspect of that, I remember the anesthesiologist. So I'm sitting here, you know, watching this. My ex is still in the bathroom. He's in the bathroom the entire time. His mom and sister, my whole family was there besides him. He was in there way too long. But I could see my dad, you know, like, well, you know, how do we plan a funeral? Like, he's like, this is it. Because he was afraid all night. I could feel his fear. Like, you know, you see someone, you're like, oh, they're scared. No, like, I could feel his fear.
Yeah.
And I remember, I don't know why. Like, I know I could feel the other people's emotions and stuff, but I locked in on my dad's. And I don't know why that is, but he's the one that I remember. There's also other things that I was told or shown or whatever that it's like, your brain's not going to be able to process this. So, like, good luck when you go back. Like, you know. So I remember my dad and then the anesthesiologist, he was like, I'm going to have to freaking put epinephrine. I'm going to have to stab her in front of everyone, put epinephrine in, because my IV had blown and he was trying to find a vein. And because they were retracted, it was impossible. He was trying to find one. And he prayed and I could see it when he prayed. It was like his purplish color that like light.
This is so interesting.
And I could watch it from the outside. Like, this was like, I could see myself. I wasn't even like comprehending like, oh, like this is not normal. Like, it just felt normal. It was like something that, you know, like I unzipped or something. I don't know. But I remember him praying like, please, I need help. God, help me, because I don't want to lose this person in front of their family. And like, as soon as, because he had been trying and he's like, okay, we're getting heart rate slowly going down, and they couldn't even get a blood pressure because it was so low. And I watched as this energy guided his hands, got an IV, and he put in 1 shot of the epinephrine, no change, 2 shots of epinephrine, no change. Then he put the 3rd one, no change. 4th one, it was like I hit my body. And I remember like when I like came back, everyone was standing around the bed looking at me. And because I wasn't like in that moment, it wasn't like I had processed all of that. And because I was so exhausted and I was in so much pain, and finally the epidural had numbed my stomach to where I couldn't feel it anymore, I was like, oh, that was a good nap. And my dad went, oh, like he like literally was like, oh my God, like.
And you're like, Dad, I know all your thoughts actually right now.
The thing is like at that time I didn't even like think about it until like everything had calmed down, and then I was like, oh shit, that is what it's like this was weird. Is a lot of people when they have NDs, they will talk about like they went to heaven and grandpa was there, and mine was like a group of souls that have always been with me and will always be with me. I guess your guides, you could say, but they were familiar. But it wasn't like that was grandpa, or, you know, it was like they were family, but they were not people I knew here. And then source as well. But
I like that you dropped the ND for near death. Like, it's a common thing that people just have. Well, you know. Did you have an ND recently?
The local, you know, NDE people just.
There's so much just to get to still. Yeah, I have about 15 minutes left till my next meeting. Mm-hmm. And I don't want to rush you, but with that time left, where do you want to, we still have to do movies too.
Yeah.
Where do you want to go with the time we have remaining?
I still have so much. I haven't even gotten to all of our stuff.
I know. That's why I feel bad. We might have to have you back for a part 2.
We might have to do a part 2.
Because I don't want to rush you.
Yeah. I can finish Maya's story and then maybe we come back.
Okay. I like that.
Oliver's is a lot. So after I had you know, just died and came back.
No big deal. You had an ND.
Yeah, ND is you know, just a typical Tuesday. But my doctor was kind of like, he didn't know what to do. I mean, like he, you know, was trying to save my life, but he's like, these people are like family to me. I've been her doctor since she was 3, all this stuff. And my dad's like, shouldn't she be getting blood, like a blood transfusion? And they're like, oh yeah, we should probably do that. So I got a rapid platelet or plasma transfusion. And it was weird. They had this like big machine. They didn't have my blood type, so they had to bring it from the other hospital. And in that time, before I had my epidural, I would go to the bathroom, like, because I was like, oh, I need to pee. And I couldn't. And they were like, to measure the amount of bleeding I was having, they were like putting a towel and then weighing how much I was bleeding. I bled so much. Like I should not be alive. But I couldn't pee anymore. And my kidneys were failing. So my body was completely shutting down. It was, my kidneys started failing. I think it was my liver started failing. I know my kidneys, I was in failure with those. And they had this medication that they ended up having to, I don't know if it was, they had to get it from Mesquite. So I think it was life flighted. I was so kind of out of it, but I know that, oh no, it was from Vegas. They had to life flight it from Vegas because it was I would have passed without it. And body went into complete organ failure. My organs were failing. And when I go into labor, it takes me a little bit to get to a 4. But then once I get to a 4, it's like I'm birthing within the next hour. So with her, it was like, oh, busy. And they finally got the epidural and they had to shut it off because it literally killed me. And I remember after I got the blood transfusion, after I got on the medication to prevent, further damage from my body shutting down. And during this time, I think I was poked like 47 times because every time they put an IV in, it would last for like 15 minutes and then close off because it was taking blood and giving it to the vitals. But I remember they had checked me and I was a 4. I got the blood and then my epidural, thank God, was still working in my stomach. But where you give birth, I could feel everything. No. So I was just grateful that my stomach, I couldn't feel that. But I knew it was like probably 20 minutes after my blood transfusion. I was like, oh my God, I'm going to give birth. Like she's coming. And they're like, well, we just checked you and you're a 7. I was like, no, she's coming. Like I can feel it. She's there. And they checked me and she was. And I remember that moment was like, because it happened, everything was so crazy, so fast. And then it was like, this is it. This is the moment. And I looked at my mom and I was like, Mom, I can't do this. I can't do this. I'm so tired. I can feel everything. And she was transverse, like I had told the nurse. I said, I think her head's here, feet are here. And I asked at the beginning, I was like, okay, like, do we flip her? And the doctor was like, whatever comes out, we're pulling. We have to get her out. And thank God, by the grace of God, she moved and was in the perfect position, head down, and we didn't have to do that. But I was terrified. I didn't know any of that. And I didn't know what she was going to look like. I didn't know what that experience was going to be like. And I knew I didn't have a choice. This is what I had to do. And I needed to get her out now. I needed to get her out as soon as I could. But it was like, I looked at my mom and I was like, Mom, I can't do this. I can't do this. And my doctor, who has, I've been my doctor since I was a kid, he looked at me and he was like, you have got to get her out now. And he's like, work with me. Let's get her out. And I birth really easily, thank God. Like, I don't push very long or anything like that. With her, she's probably the longest I pushed. And I think it was like 7 minutes. And that's only because I could feel it. But I kind of had to just disassociate and I closed my eyes and I pushed. And I was screaming and I normally don't do that. But like, this moment was so different, obviously. But I remember when I finally got to the point of pushing her out, when she finally came out, there was a massive amount of blood that came out into the bucket on the, when you give birth, that bucket they put underneath. It filled up an entire one. They had to put another one. But there was so much blood coming out. And that was when I finally opened my eyes and saw her. And they had the lights dimmed. They don't do the big lighting and stuff when you're giving birth to a stillborn. But I wasn't crying at that time because at that time I just wanted to see her and memorize every inch of her because I knew that I wouldn't ever get any time with her other than this. And she was warm still, and the only sound that you could hear was my family crying and the nurses and the doctors. Like, you could hear their sobs, but it's not natural to have a birth and just silence. And she looked perfect because she had only been passed, a couple hours. She was still warm and she hadn't had the chance for her skin to start sloughing and stuff because it was an emergency. And she literally just looked like she was sleeping. Like, she looked perfect. I mean, her lips were a little purple and stuff, but I wasn't even crying. I just wanted her. I wanted to memorize every inch of her body. And she had the biggest, she had big lips. And my daughter that was born after her looked exactly like her. She was just chunkier. But we had her for 24 hours. My parents went home, but my mother-in-law stayed. And they were with us all night. She started falling asleep on the couch. She went home and came back, but they took her, Maya, to do molds and get her dressed. I still have this little dress of hers. And her body started deteriorating fast once it got cold, which happened rapidly. And once I realized her body was getting cold, I panicked. I put blankets and stuff on her, but I mean, you know the body temperature, and you feel it very quickly. But she started getting, she had mottling on her legs, which is, I also saw on Oliver. That's how I knew he was passed away before I even touched him. But her skin started to deteriorate and things like that. They have cold cots and things now where you can put them, but we didn't. So she was just, being touched and moved, and her body was doing exactly what it was designed to do when you pass away, and it was rapidly deteriorating. So we called the mortuary that we had chosen and had 24 hours with her body. And it was hard to give her over to. And then the hospital is small, but I could hear other babies crying. And as we're leaving, there was a couple. I'm so excited. It wasn't that I was mad, at someone else, but it was like a slap in the face. Like someone else has their healthy baby and I don't. and it wasn't fair, you know. And I would see people that were like on drugs or didn't care that they were pregnant or didn't give a shit about their kids that they had and got pregnant again. And it's like, I wanted her and she was taken from me. And I was careful and I did everything I was supposed to do. I didn't eat things I wasn't supposed to eat. You know, I was so careful and she's gone. And I had a lot of survivor's guilt for a long time. Like, she died when she shouldn't have. And I survived something I never should have. Like, they don't know how I survived that. There's a lot more into the story of, like, the mortuary and stuff with her, but we can get into part 2.
Can I just ask you one more question before we end this one? I'm just really sorry. Why did you want to come on the 1090 podcast? I mean, this is brutal to live through, let alone talk about again.
Because like we were talking about earlier, we have the ability to be the most connected society that there's ever been in ways that are unfathomable to, you know, previous generations, yet we are the most disconnected and lonely. And my story is a lot. It's a lot, and it's heavy, and I carry it well a lot of the days. But sometimes I feel the entire weight of that baggage, and I know that I'm not alone in that. I know there's other people that have experienced loss like I have, and they don't have anyone willing to sit down on the internet and talk about things that are personal. Like, this is me being raw for strangers. But even before all this happened, I felt called to tell people, and I feel like being exactly what I am and who I am and being honest about the struggles of losing my children and Connor helps someone else not feel so alone, and helps when you can grasp that grief too and kind of alchemize it in a way where you're like, this is now a part of me, right? I died with my loved one. The person I was died with them. Now here I am with this. You've got to learn how to alchemize that a little, where you're like, I've got to live with it, not against it. Because when you start living against your grief, you'll never experience happiness again. And I just want people to know that they're not alone.
I think the number one compliment I get about the podcast is what you just said. When I listen to your podcast and I don't feel as alone. There's people out there like me, and the story you've gone through is much more, happens way more than we realize, I think, because moms, I mean, Courtney had a miscarriage, and we never talked about that miscarriage. Yeah. It's just something that people don't talk, and I know that's not the same thing you went through, but...
No, I had 2 miscarriages after my...
Yeah, the point is, it's just this type of pain is more common than we realize. So thanks for being brave and coming on, and I am sorry that I had to rush you at the end, but...
Oh no, we've got it. I've got so much more still, because we haven't
come back.
I haven't got into Maya's funeral, and just like my milk coming in after her was awful. So we've got a lot more.
Yeah, we'll have you back. So thanks for understanding that. But life's 10% what happens to you, and 90% how you respond to it.